Manhattan melodies to New York.
What? Yeah, Broadway'd be dying to get a great musical like this.
The Muppets Take Manhattan was released in 1984 and is the third full-length feature film in the franchise, and my personal favorite Muppet movie of all time. So what makes a favorite film a favorite to someone? Well, with each individual, that can differ. So in this video, I'm going to look at my own personal reasons I feel The Muppets Take Manhattan is the best Muppet movie. So let's get this thing started. That's right, The Muppets Take Manhattan is the great Frank Oz's first head directing job. He would co-direct The Dark Crystal with Jim Henson, which came out 2 years prior. And with Jim Henson's busy schedule after The Dark Crystal, he felt it was time for Mr. Oz to take on the directing role alone, this time in the next Muppet movie.
Maybe this is a time to have Frank try directing one of these, and I asked him if he would like to try it. And
Frank Oz would later go on to direct many great films in his career. Knowing that The Muppets Take Manhattan is his first solo directing role makes me happy for some reason. Every time I watch the film, I remind myself of this fact, just to put a smile on my face. The Muppets Take Manhattan has a fantasy sequence with the Muppets as babies. This part was so popular that it resulted in an animated cartoon spin-off called Muppet Babies. The show was a big success, lasting 8 seasons and over 90 episodes. People seem to forget how good this show really was. It was creative, bright, and colorful, with great songs, including the intro number that always got me on my feet dancing and singing along. And the storylines were filled with amazing fantasy fun. So it's cool to think that this amazing show got to exist all because of a fantasy sequence in a movie called The Muppets Take Manhattan. Saying Goodbye is by far the saddest Muppet song ever, no contest. Just try not to shed a little tear when the song plays in the film. It's not an easy thing to do. It grabs your emotions, and that's where I can see the beauty in it. If a song played during a film can have thousands of people relating to the characters and their sadness of saying goodbye to someone they care about, to me, that's a wonderful thing, and by doing that, the artist has done what they have set out to do. And with the song Saying Goodbye, there is no doubt that they have done just that. I just mentioned how the Muppets say goodbye to each other, and how sad it was. But what it leads to is seeing the Muppets in their most interesting situations. Some of my favorite Kermit the Frog moments happen in the diner while he's working with Ginny, Pete, and Rizzo the Rat. For the other Muppets, Fozzie tries to hibernate, Scooter works at a movie theater, Ralph the dog is working at a kennel, while Gonzo tries out water skiing. I really like seeing the Muppets on their own more for some reason. It's fun to watch the characters when they're thrown into the real world and left to their own devices.
Go way back. I'm talking way back. But thanks, honey, you're too much. Far out. Right on.
Frank Oz being the co-writer and director gives the movie a different feel than any other Muppet film, and that also goes the same with the Kermit character. Even with Jim Henson still playing the beloved character, with Frank doing some writing for Kermit and directing it gives him a much wider range than we had previously seen before. Kermit also disguises himself as different characters throughout the film.
I know you're going to be a famous fashion designer someday.
My favorite is when he takes on the identity of Phil, the advertising salesman.
Be frank, Phil.
I don't like it.
For some reason, a lot of these scenes with Kermit scream Frank Oz to me a little more than the great Jim Henson. I like seeing the character go to unfamiliar places, and I think Jim Henson had fun with it.
But this is all a misunderstanding.
You are fired.
Frank Oz is a very talented guy who understands comedy. His performance as Miss Piggy has never been short by any means when it comes to laugh out loud moments through all the Muppet films. So what makes me feel that Miss Piggy is at her funniest in Muppets Take Manhattan? I think it comes down to a few things. One being that Frank Oz writing for the character has never been better. And two, it's the only time he got to direct himself playing the character, which really gives him 100% creative control. I also think part of it is her jealousy for Kermit. She's the only Muppet who secretly stays behind when the Muppets separate, and she does so to spy on Kermit. She follows him all around Manhattan, and anytime she sees Ginny touch or comfort Kermit in any way, her response is priceless. And who can forget when she hi-yahs Kermit across the room?
Cancel the show!
The Muppets Take Manhattan does not have the obvious big villain that all the other Muppet movies have. You could say it's Martin Price, the shady Broadway producer.
Get away from that door.
Let go! Oh my God!
And yes, there's no argument that Price is a bad guy, but just as quickly as he comes into the film, he leaves. So you can't really be the villain of a movie if you're just in the film for just 5 minutes.
Were you when I needed you?
Murray?
Animals! You're crazy, all of you!
Instead, the film concentrates on the characters' failures and struggles in the hard city life, so you can say that's the villain of the movie. It's life, failure, and the city of Manhattan. I like that the movie does not have a physical person as the villain. It makes it unique in the Muppet catalog, and I feel it's more relatable. Most of us don't have a villainous person standing in our way of things. It's usually our own self-doubt, failure, and just hardships of life in a city or anywhere else you may live. And we see all the characters in this film go through just that.
I don't know what to do next. We failed, okay? We tried and we failed.
The Muppet movies are known for having lots of big stars appear in their films, even if it's just a small cameo. The Muppets Take Manhattan is no different in that way. Besides, this time Jim Henson and Frank Oz would have a different strategy when it came to picking the cameos. This time they would write the parts first, and then think about who they wanted to get for the part. On movies before, they did the opposite. Writing the parts first paid off tremendously. The cameos fit the actors and actresses perfectly. But it's not just the cameos. The main live-action cast is great. I especially like Juliana Donald as the character Ginny. When she interacts with the Muppets, especially Kermit, it feels real. She does a great job, and she could be my favorite live-action character in any Muppet movie.
Crawford, producer.
I've heard of him. He's a big-time Broadway producer. Really? Yeah.
Uncle Traveling Matt makes a cameo appearance at the end of the film. And the reason that seeing Uncle Traveling Matt from Fraggle Rock means so much to me is simply because Fraggle Rock is not just my favorite Jim Henson creation of all time, it's also my favorite show from my childhood. I love Fraggle Rock so much that I named my dog Gobo, after Gobo from Fraggle Rock. And every couple of years, I go back and rewatch the entire Fraggle Rock series. And I just seem to love it more every time I watch it. And I plan to go through the series every couple of years like that for the rest of my life. So seeing Uncle Traveling Matt at the end of this film warms my heart and puts a smile on my face.
Dear Nephew Gobo, today I discovered a place that demonstrates how generous the silly creatures really are.
I just mentioned how Uncle Traveling Matt makes an appearance in the film. Well, this is where that happens, Kermit and Piggy's wedding. But it's not just him who shows up. All the Sesame Street gang are also there, along with a whole bunch of other Muppets. It's probably the most Muppets seen on a camera in a single shot. And for good reason. What other Muppet celebration could be bigger than Kermit and Piggy's wedding? It's the perfect ending to a great Muppet movie.